Hey guys, welcome back to Big Leg Hot Rods. Thanks again for tuning in and checking out the progress on the hot rod here. I've got a couple of bolts here that are fine thread. These are the original nuts for inside the fender here. These little clips will go to the inside of this fender here, and they kind of pinch in. They pinch and then slide back, and these little clips here, I don't know if you can see that or not, they're barely a little raised piece. They kind of lock in place. So that keeps the bolt from moving around. I'm trying to, in a blind hole there, trying to get it lined up in the fender. So I've got to figure out a way to make a couple of these. So I laid out my template here. Got a little piece of scrap steel. It's roughly the same thickness. It's a little thicker, but I don't think that'll hurt anything. I think my hardest part is going to be the little piece that's popped out here. You can barely see it, but that little piece there catches the inside of the fender, but it's actually fully pierced through the steel. So I'm not too sure how I'm gonna go about replicating that or something to the same effect. So I'm gonna cut these out and get a hole drilled, and let's see what we can come up with. All right, so in order to make this piece, this is what I came up with. It's pretty dang close, and I think it'll work. What I did was I took this piece and put it in a socket here. Laid my socket up here with a punch that I kind of ground on the edge to kind of get it a sharp edge on it. And I kind of went at an angle and just knocked the crap out of it. And it puckered it out like that. So now I'm going to take my Dremel tool with a little cutoff wheel, and I'm going to cut around the front edge of this piece. I'll leave that open, as you can see, and that will allow that to catch the fender edge. And now all I've got to do is drill a hole and figure out a way to attach a bolt to it. But the bolt also has to float. Float around like that. It needs to do that so that this edge catches the fender. When you shove it in the hole, the edge of that bolt head goes underneath the edge of the fender lip, and this clips into place, therefore holding that in place. Yeah, I thought about just welding a stud to the fender, but I don't know if that's the right way to do it. It needs some adjustment in and out so I can shim it and stuff like that. I don't know if I could get to it with a I don't know, there's something tells me I need to kind of copy what the factory did. So that is what I'm gonna do. So I got one punched out, and I gotta do one more. All right, sounds good. I like it. So now I need to just fix the spacing and put a little tack weld on here, and that'll work perfect. Now the head of that bolt obviously isn't as big as the other one, but I don't really think, I do think that matters because the hole in the fender fits this. So now I have to weld a washer to that, kind of ground that flat. All right, well, it's not that big of a deal. Let's figure that out too. Much like what's on here is a carriage bolt. I'm gonna install these carriage bolts on my new piece. But this carriage bolt, like I showed before, it kind of floats around. It's got these little ears on it that have been pressed in. I don't have that on these, so my idea is just to kind of put a bead of weld on there, and hopefully I can make that same effect, kind of give it a little bit of a space, and go from there. All right, we're moving along pretty well here. I chucked this up into my drill here. I'm gonna call this my lathe. So I just chucked it in there, and I kind of made an eyeball mark on it to get my stud, the head there, the same size, and I just ran my grinder with it at the same time and ground it down, and it's pretty dang good, I'd say so. It's a little bit bigger, but it still fits in the hole in the fender. So I'm gonna make 2 more of these real quick. So we'll grind it in there, or chuck it in there, and I'll make it the same size as this one here. And like I said, I'm just eyeballing it because it's not critical, but not in engine internal, you know. So got a mark there, and we'll just grind. So I've got the bolt, I got my flange. I think you can see that. There you go. And what I can do, I'm trying to copy this one, so I want to flip it, and so I think we're moving along pretty good. I want to do, so I realize this will fit. I found this little shim in my drawer. That'll fit in there. So that'll give them a good spacing that I need. So I'm gonna slide that on here. And then slide that down. And I wanna try to tack the bolt to where I can create that little lip that I need to keep that bolt captured, but I don't wanna weld this nut. I don't wanna weld the bolt to the flange. That. I'm just gonna go with it. I'm gonna weld up here in the threaded part of the bolt and try to keep off of that. I think that might have worked. So, got my bolt in there. Not too shabby, I think. Now we'll see if it'll work. I'm gonna cool it off first because it's hot. Yeah, the only thing I don't like is that the bolt is stuck to this. Which really, in essence, this is too. It's the same thing, it's just not that part, which I've got the spacing, so I think I'll be okay there. So we'll go over here to the fender, and this is the hole that this goes into, and we'll stick it in. Let's wiggle a little bit. This piece needs to be trimmed just a hair. All right, so we got the new nuts and nutserts, whatever you want to call them, in place. And they fit like they're supposed to. So moving on, I'm gonna go ahead and start sanding on this door and the inner structure. And we're gonna start this week. I'm gonna try to get this thing in primer, the whole car. So that's kind of why I wanted to get these clips in place so I could bolt that fender back in and get it secure, you know, along the bottom edge of the front of the door there. So, yep, I'm gonna get some sanding done here, and then I'll slap the fender on and we'll get it lined up. We'll see what we can do with it. My goodness. Surface tool works great, but you better be ready for a mess, that's for sure. It's the last little section of original paint. I pulled the warranty tag plate off the door. I really didn't see the need to worry about it because I've had the door off, so that's technically taking it off anyway. So I wanted to refinish the door jamb. I had a couple spots where I needed to grind, and I wanted to sand it, make it look pretty. So the original, the VIN number is actually stamped on the inner fender apron right here. So on both sides, not too concerned with that. I want to finish the car up, make it look pretty. So I'm sure it's been done before, and I can get the rivets back and reapply it. I think some of them on Chevys are in here. So I was actually thinking about putting it in here on the kick panel. I'm not sure how much that'll be in the way, but I want to attach it to the actual body of the car. So I may end up moving it. Who knows? I don't know. Might be a dumb idea, but whatever. Anyway, we are making a little bit of progress here. I made short work of the roof, as you can see, and it's in pretty good shape. It's stained, but I've cleaned it and wiped it down, and I just touched it with my bare hands, so I'll make sure I clean that spot again. I wanted to make sure there wasn't any significant dents or damage in it. I could tell there wasn't from the paint, but I wanted to get a nice, good service. I wanted to make sure this wasn't badly pitted rust. Looks like it's just stained metal to me. No more rust dust is coming up out of it. So, and like I said, this car was fairly roached. In hindsight, I wish I would have just waited and not painted it and kept the bodywork to less invasive and maybe kept the patina on it for a little bit. But, you know, we're already too far way past that point. So it is what it is. I don't think I'm going to need to do the trunk lid because it's not anywhere near as bad as this roof was. So we'll just recheck it. I'm going to finish up the rocker panel here where the seams were, where I welded it last time. Get this door and some body fill on the outside where I gapped it. And this door is really the last major piece of body work that needs to be done before I can get some primer on the whole car. I've gone around the entire car and scuffed it, and I've ended up here at this door because I knew it was going to need the most work today. So everything else, like I said, I think is ready. I'm sure by the time I prime it, my main goal is to get it in a solid prime color. And the gray will be able to do some guide coat on it and really start getting nitpicky with the body and get it straight. So it's a guide coat, base coat for the next level of body work. So a lot of people frown upon putting body fill on the sheet metal, but I've done it on my other builds and never had a problem with it. So I think it's really more of a preference. I know body fill is not moisture barrier, but the way this car is going to be treated, it's not going to be left outside all the time. I think it'll be fine. So that's my take on it. We'll get started on this door and quit rambling and on point to get some primer in tomorrow. I tried to get some tires for it today, just from a used tire shop up the street, and they wouldn't sell me any. So I still need to find some tires. I'm probably just going to have to go on Marketplace and buy a set of used tires. I was hoping not to have to do that and waste the money on a used set, but if I can find a decent set, it'd probably be okay. I can go ahead and run them on here and get it to be a roller. So once I get it primed, wire fire, get it tested, make sure everything runs good, pull it apart, and then we'll detail all the stuff and get it back together. So we still got a long way to go. All right, let's get on it. Well, I think I am ready to shoot some primer on this car for the first time, as far as like a real paint gun and real 2K high build primer. Got the door situated. The bottom of this door was a little bit rougher than I wanted, so I went ahead and just cut the metal out, fixed the rust, replaced it with good new metal, and body worked that. So that kind of led to the bottom edge of that door needing some work. Other than that, I've combed the car over the last 2 days, and I feel really comfortable with where it's at as far as getting some paint on it and get the initial prime on it and get a good feel for where the body work is. I can get a guide coat on it. That'll help me locate the bad spots. I know there's a few still here I've probably missed, and a few that I just can't see because there's so many variations of color and things of that nature. But been working on the front bumper. I've got it in a coat of fill, and it's looking really good, really slicked up and smooth and matches the back. A few little bad spots here, but I'm just going to go ahead and paint it and prime it. It's not paint, it's primer. But go ahead and get it in a coating, and for one, it'll help protect the metal. I noticed some spots had rusted because of my sweaty hands and arms laying on it, and I want to help prevent that, just so I don't have to keep going back over it and treating that area. Make sure, I don't cause a problem in the future with the paint job. Other than that, I'm going to get the fenders back on. I'm going to get it all blown out and cleaned off. It's pretty well cleaned out as far as parts and stuff. I had a lot of parts and junk laying in it. Get it vacuumed out and cleaned out and blown out, and get it cleaned up. So next step is primer. I'm excited. It's a big step. So let's get to it. I don't know why, but I like this view. The wide stance on the back end kind of reminds me of one of my Hot Wheels cars. So pretty well got it degreased and wiped down, blown off best I can. As far as the environment I'm in, I'm not really in a paint booth, so I know it's going to get dirt in it, but it's primer. It's going to be sanded again and again and again, so I'm not 100% concerned with that, but I just want to make sure I get it degreased And then anywhere I feel like I've touched it with my bare hands, I wiped it down and got it cleaned up. So I think I'm ready to shoot some primer on it and go from there, and let's see what happens. Mostly I'm going to focus on the exterior. There's a few little places underneath, or maybe the door jambs aren't quite done. The jamb itself is, the door itself is not. So I may try to get in there and spray a little bit without coating everything on the wires and stuff like that. So they're not really out of the way, but I may not worry too much with it. Just spray it and try to keep control of my pattern, tighten it up, and tighten up the fan and all that good stuff on the spray gun. So like I said, I feel like I'm in a pretty good spot. I'm gonna go ahead and shoot it, and let's see what we come up with. All right, so yesterday I started working on these seats and basically had to make some seat risers out of some seat channel I had laying around, and I just kind of dressed it up a little bit just so when you lay in there, it kind of gives it a little something, something. It's not really anything to it. You'll never really see and pay attention to those things. So this way I put a little plate on the bottom, and that way it doesn't dig into the carpet when I bolt everything down. Got the seat in place and mounted, mounting locations, holes drilled. I sat in it yesterday and had a little, backup little foam pad or whatever in it, and got it fitted nicely. It's as far forward as it can go because of this hump. Limits my forward any more than it will go, but it's in a comfortable spot that I like to drive. I like to stretch out and drive with my legs extended. So my leg actually rests on this hump here, which is great, and it's comfortable, and I can reach everything. I don't have a lot of buttons going on, so limited distractions. It's just clean, and I just want to drive. So I did get an update on. I've got the wheels out with a friend looking for some tires for him. He's got a used one roller that'll hold air, and he actually said it was a pretty decent tire, so I'm excited about that. It's just temporary. I don't even think they're going to match brand-wise, but they will roll and hold air and get this thing on the ground, able to move around on its own. So I've got both holes drilled for the seats, mounts made. I'll go ahead and get those bolted in, and we're going to start doing some plumbing and wiring and get this thing to where I can fire it up, and that's where we're headed. Today's task is probably the front end. We'll go ahead and get the seats put in it and just move on. Check that off the list. So let's get to it. So yesterday I concentrated on getting the panel gaps right on this fender. There's a few tiny little spots that I gotta just spot fill with, but it blocked perfect. It took a pretty good bit of time to gap it. I had to do a lot of cutting and grinding and reshaping on that line, but it looks really good and crisp. We're gonna move on to the passenger side. We're gonna do the same thing. Now this gap is in a lot better shape. For some reason or another, this fender actually came off another car, and it fits the door line better than the original car did. And that could be because I moved the door around and re-gapped it, but whatever. I got a little bit of cutting and fitting here, and a little cutting and fitting right there to fill that gap in. So I'm gonna slice the panel and wedge it open, and then re-weld it and get a little piece of filler in there or something. But that may be what I do. I may just add material to the edge, because I didn't think about if I cut that open. I don't know. We'll figure it out when I get there. I'm not sure. I want to kind of make it match this line a little better, so it has to come up a touch. Yeah, happens. What it is. It is what it is. Yeah, we'll get set up and we'll start working this gap. But like I said, it's really close. Just a little widening here at the top, and most of the work is at the top, but it is what it is. It's gonna look really good. I'm really, really, really happy with the driver's side gap. So we'll hopefully make the passenger side gap match it. It's coming right along. All right, so what I have come in here and did, what I went ahead and did is to get this gap right. You can tell how tight it is up in here. Obviously, it's touching the door. So take your little spoon and just wedge it open. Now, of course, that top corner is going to need to be cut a little bit more, but you can tell that right there makes that gap that much better. And I'll just tack weld that together. The other side, I skinned the edge of it with a grinder, and it split because it is a folded over panel on the edge all the way down this fender. So in order to create less work for me on this side, I'm gonna do it this way. And I think it'll be a lot better. I can come in here with a grinder and clean that up a little bit. It needs a little bit more in here. I may take a little bit more material out of here and just push that way a little bit more. So it's getting there. Split panel, wedged the screwdriver in there and close that up a lot. That's what I'm looking at right there. Nice uniform. Yeah, a little touch of the grinder there. Nice and straight. It looks good. So let's fill that in, we'll grind it out, and work on the rest of it. It's far from perfect, but it is really a lot better than started with. I still got and blend this whole door in together. That was one with the fender, but I'm gonna make my way down the door here and start working on that other gap. It's a little bit tight, but it's really close. So I'm gonna get it marked up and get this fender, get this part tightened up a little bit better. So other than that, we're moving right along. fix all the stuff in the back that I cut away. So we'll get over here on the table and we'll get that done. So appreciate you guys sticking around and watching me paint my car. It's a huge leap in progress on this build. So hit that like button, share it, subscribe. Appreciate you guys watching Big Lake Hot Rods. We'll catch you next time.